Hey guys, Sci-Fi Guy 2094 here. I have some tragic breaking news. Julian McMahon, or McMahon, I have no idea if I'm saying his name right. The Marvel actor who played Doctor Doom in the Fantastic Four movies from 2005 and 2007 has passed away at the age of 56 from a private battle with cancer. This is very shocking. Um, it's kind of sad, seeing as though this new Fantastic Four film is coming out. I can only imagine he wanted to see this film, as somebody who played the character. So it's very sad uh, when somebody passes away from cancer. I'm sure we all know somebody that has either gotten cancer and had to go through treatment, or somebody who has actually died from cancer. So that's really sad. He was dealing with this in private, just as Chadwick Boseman was dealing with his cancer in a private manner as well, which was very sad when he passed away back in 2020, I think. It's probably been about 5 years now. But yeah, just shocking, honestly. I mean, the guy was 56 years old. You gotta think, like, not even 60 years old, and he passes away. So that's a bummer. That's sad. I'm sure Marvel will put out a statement. Obviously, this was Fox Marvel. Those studios weren't um, those studios weren't ever connected. The last Fantastic Four movie from the original ones was 2007, and then MCU started in 2008 with the Incredible Hulk and Iron Man. So, I mean, Disney owns Fox now, so I don't know if Fox is going to come out with a statement, or if Marvel Studios will come out with a statement. I gotta say, I really liked the first Fantastic Four movie back in the day. Um, I really like it. It was fun. It was a really good movie. Obviously, it's like the first live action adaptation of the Fantastic Four. Um, so aside from watching the cartoon, which is great, they have great versions of the cartoon. Seeing these guys on the big screen after watching their cartoons was like so cool. Again, I was a kid in fifth grade, and seeing the Fantastic Four brought to film was pretty awesome. I love that movie. Great origin story. It shows how they get their powers. Um, really have a nice family dynamic with, they nailed these characters' family dynamic perfectly. Reed being the very logical guy trying to figure out how these cosmic rays have mutated their DNA and how these powers are going to affect them, how they can better adapt to use these powers. Um, Sue Storm being the motherly figure, seemingly keeping Johnny on track all the time and making sure he doesn't go do anything stupid. The Thing being kind of the heart and soul of the group. Big, tough looking guy, but he really is a nice, kind guy. I guess a gentle giant, even though him and Johnny are always getting into getting into arguments, and Johnny's always playing pranks on him. I remember the scene where the Thing is sleeping, and Johnny puts whipped cream on his hand, and he takes his feather and he starts to tickle his face until he does that. He gets whipped cream all over his face. He's like, Johnny. So I absolutely love that. And of course, Johnny being the immature kind of just showboat guy, always wants to be the center of attention, the show off, the daredevil. So, you know, we all know Johnny Storm. But it was a great family dynamic between all those guys, and Doctor Doom was a great villain. He really was. You know, say what you want about, oh, it's not comic book accurate to the actual Victor Von Doom from the comic books hailing from the land of Latveria. I understand. I do. I understand. Yeah. Is he a complete comic book accurate adaptation of Doctor Doom? No, he's not. And I don't want to even talk about Fantastic, because that's the next adaptation that we got. So anyway, I think that's the best we got. Let's just leave it at that. So many great memories growing up with this film. So Julian, rest in peace. You were a great Doctor Doom in my eyes. And of course, he returned and reprised his role for the Rise of the Silver Surfer film. So it's kind of sad. You know, I would have loved to see this guy back in Secret Wars. You know, I wonder if Marvel was in talks with him to like possibly bring him back in a Secret Wars film. Or what's the other film that they're doing? Secret Wars and Doomsday. Yeah, Avengers Doomsday. Like, what if he could have came back and been an integral part in that film? I think that would have been so cool to see him back. And then, you know, maybe we could have that Doctor Doom as well as Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom. No, I think obviously that would have been a variant, you know, two different Doctor Dooms, but I think it could have been great. You know, you have both of these super genius villains, and, you know, maybe Doctor Doom finds a variant of himself, and there's some type of plot that maybe he likes this variant of himself, or maybe he wants to be the only one, and or maybe they plot together during Avengers Doomsday. You know, I don't know. I think it could have been really cool. So obviously it's sad that he passed away. That's first and foremost. He passed away. That is sad. But then also I would have liked to see him in Avengers Doomsday. So very sad news. May he rest in peace.